Okay, so we have just helped an SEO agency to deliver a $5,000 per month SEO contract using nothing but AI and automation. So their team spends about 3 hours every month fulfilling this contract, which has come down from about 60 to 80 hours. Now, in this video, I want to walk you through the exact automation we have built so that you can copy this and you can bring it into whether it's your SEO agency or your SEO business itself. Now, without further ado, let's jump into the details. Okay, so first things here is let's have a look at the actual contract. Now, obviously, I've had to blur out a few bits from the official contract, but essentially what we've created here is a 4-stage monthly retainer plan. And if you're on SEO agencies, you'll recognize this. And if you don't, this is how most SEO agency proposals are going to be structured when we're looking around the topic of content. So the main promise from this agency was we're going to deliver you content. So research and opportunity mapping is we're going to identify each month competitor gaps. We're going to look at these real-time signals. We're going to have a look at intent opportunities. We're going to have a look from Google Search Console and prioritize topics that we need to write for that month. That means every month we're going to be looking at new topics and working out what is the best to post this month. The next thing we're going to be doing is content architecture. So something that's massively changing about content is if we look at the old way of building content, it was something like this. We'd find a topic and then we'd go ahead and write the blog post on the topic. Now, if you look at why this has become a problem, look at big websites nowadays. You can see websites with tens of thousands of pages were just doing this on repeat. They find a topic and they write a blog on it. And a few months, even a few years down the line, you are ending up with massively over-linking topics. You have blogs which are basically written on the same thing, your kind of topical authority decreases, and generally you are just much less trusted if you've got all this random content on your site. So what the agency are being specific about here is they're creating content architecture, not just blog posts. What that means is instead of publishing isolated articles, they're publishing content ecosystems. So this is how we want you to think about content nowadays. We're going for a topic, and then instead of going to content, we're going to assets. So content to assets, that is what we are creating. An asset can look like a pillar page, a supporting guide, an FAQ, comparison assets. Let me actually just give you a quick example of what this could look like. Let's say we're trying to rank for how to build a house. We're house builders. Stupid example, but let's go with it. How to build a house. That is our topic, okay? This is our overarching thing we want to rank for. What we're not going to do here is go write a blog on how to build a house. We are going to split it into assets. That could look like this. We have a main guide on how to best practice, best way to build a house. Okay? But then we're not going to stop there. We're going to continue to build assets around this topic. So, for example, we can then go to how we built a house for John. Then we can go for the 5 best tools to use to build a house. Right, so this is what I'm getting at here. We are building assets. This is how Google is looking for topical authority. We've got a case study in here. We've got extra content which shows we are the expert, and then we've also got a guide which is our main content. All of these will be internally linked, which links them all together, and that is how we create asset topics. So that's the thing which top SEO agencies are doing, and if you haven't implemented that already into your content strategy, that's something you need to be looking into. The next thing comes under production and publishing. So obviously, even though we can have these blogs on a Google Doc, we need them actually on the site. And that is more than just pasting it from a Google Doc and adding it into the site. The client is expecting infographics. They're expecting internal, external links. They're expecting some beautiful images to accompany this blog, not just a big wall of text. So we have to do that, fully formatted, internally linked, and optimized for intent. And then the final stage, and this is a tricky stage, which most SEO agencies can't really even offer, because it's tricky to do, is continuous optimization, this loop, okay? So again, let's go back to how our old content worked. We would create a topic and then have a blog post. The new way we're doing it is we've got a topic, then we're building assets. Now, these assets are only assets if we are updating them. Now, for example, things will change over time, especially, and a good example I see is best marketing strategies for 2025. If you've got a year to date it, we want to update that in 2026 with fresh content. Fresh content is 6 times more likely to be ranked in AI searches, and 80% of AI citations come from blog posts published in the last 3 months. If you are not updating your content, you are invisible to AI. That's a fact. And that is why agencies are all struggling but desperate to provide this service. And this is what makes this a $60,000 a year service to provide, okay? It is expensive. Okay, so I think we've got a good idea there of the contract and what exactly we're offering. But the question now is, how the hell have we built an automation which is going to automate this $5,000 a month package and turn this into a piece of cake for the agency? So again, without going into too much depth on this is normally a horrible process for an agency to do. They're doing manual keyword research, they're doing copywriters to research and create the content. That's not even to mention the refreshing of all those content pieces. We're looking at manual reporting every month, having to go back to content later and add and update new stuff, and then actually having to go into the CMS and publish this blog post. This is the old way of doing SEO, and if your SEO agency is still doing this, you are going to be stuck in the past, because all of this stuff can be automated, and it can be automated well. That's how we took this from 60 to 80 hours of delivery down to 3. Okay, without further ado, I am going to show you the system that we built for this agency and exactly how it works. Now, to give you a little idea, okay, now I want to show you the exact system we built for this agency so you can copy and paste this. Now, it's built in 2 ways. We have an Airtable front end to make this super easy for this agency to manage, but then sitting on the back end, we have a massive NA10 automation which powers all of this. Obviously, I can't go into depth about how everything is built. 1, because this is a product that my client has paid for, and 2, because I will be here all day. But what I can show you is the framework we've built. So if you're familiar with NA10 or you want to go ahead and build something yourself, you can copy this. So number 1 is we've got a client's page, and this client's page is going to be basically your settings page for where you set up clients. Agencies can add new clients. They add a few details about CMS, Google Search Console integration, and then we go ahead and click research. What research is going to do is generate these 3 columns. Number 1 is client intelligence. So this is just a super detailed overview, everything we need to know about the client. That's the website summary, that's their primary offers, that's their positioning and differentiation, their target audience, etc., etc. Then we're going to go ahead and look at the testimonial bank. Now, this is super important for Google's EEAT content. Content has to actually show that you know what you're talking about. And that's why here we have real world examples for what this agency has delivered so that we can embed this into content pieces. We then have the style guideline, which is just uploaded by the agency on basically how it wants them to write for this client and how it should structure the blog posts. All pretty simple stuff here, but this is underlying with every blog post we write and is weaved in to every single piece of content that is written. Then we're going to go ahead and actually create this content starting at topic level. So topics look like this, and these aren't randomly selected based on what content is on your website. These are real-time intent signals, just like that contract promised. Here, for Google Search Console data, this query cluster is generating X number of impressions with this number of CTR. SERP shows this, okay? These are all real reasons. Have a pause and have a read through why these pieces of content have been picked, but these are genuine reasons why these need to be written on, and this is updating every month. The agency just goes ahead and clicks active to create a to go ahead and activate that topic. We're also researching topics. We call this topic intelligence. And what this is doing is that idea of asset creation. So this is where we plan what assets we're going to write. And we do that by looking at what exists in the SERP already, what the competitive landscape is, and where the opportunities are. In this case, we've got one comprehensive authority hub with this many words, and then 3 supporting articles covering this. Then the agency has gone ahead and activated this topic, and we're going to go ahead and look at the content pieces. These are the actual blog posts that have been written onto the site. And we're going to go ahead and have a look at how exactly this is written. Because bear in mind, we can't be publishing AI slop to an enterprise level client paying $5,000 per month. So what we do here is we go ahead and research the blog in super incredible detail. Now, I'm not even going to go into the amount of research that's done into each blog post, but for example, we're starting with just the search intent and audience analysis. What is the user trying to achieve? What would be a successful blog post? What would that look like? Then we go into the SERP blueprint. Anyway, we're pulling from the current SERP landscape. We're pulling from what's currently working on AI models, what's missing and what's weak, i.e. competitor gap analysis. And then we're mapping out our entities and concepts. We're looking at where we can build internal links. Where are the main money pages? Where are we trying to drive traffic to? And that's what we're walking through here. Related subtopics, and then we're having a look at evidence, like I showed you in that previous thing. Where can we pull in the relevant case studies that this agency has completed, as well as other credible sources? Finally, we pull in data from SEO, we look at some more internal links, and that is pretty much everything. So yeah, full keyword research pulled in from data for SEO, which is a kind of alternative to something like SEMrush. So we are ready to create a fantastic blog post, which is here. Then what we're going to go ahead and do is actually create a meta title and description. And my favorite bit is this idea of infographics. Look at these. These are literally branded to the client and yeah, fully created infographics with their branding, which will mean these aren't just walls of text. And then we're going to go ahead and set the refresh cycle. How often do we want this piece of content to be re-looked at by the AI agents? So hopefully what you can see here is we have created a super detailed and super high quality piece of content that is going to rank on Google. And all you've got to do is go check out some of our case studies and see that these blogs absolutely do rank perfectly on Google as well as AI models. Then what we're going to go ahead and do is have a look at the performance tab, which is going to compare the blogs that we have published, how are they performing in the last 30 days, and if we have the data, how's that compared to the previous 30 days. Now, this doesn't mean a lot to the client, so what we've gone ahead and done is completely automated a performance brief and report analysis, which is sent to the client each month, straight to their inbox. And as you can see, we've used Nano Banana to generate some really high quality infographics, as well as just saying the data. So this can obviously be completely branded to our client can brand this to each client or brand it to their agency, and that's going to be delivered automatically into their inbox. Then we're going to have a look at optimize. Again, the client can have a look at why each piece of content is being optimized. We've built a super efficient system because often you have a look at products which are coming out of Y Combinator and they've had a couple of problems with over re-engineering content. Content rarely needs to be changed that much. The point is over 5 years, we make a few changes which keeps its position and actually increases its ranking on Google. We don't want to go ahead and rewrite this every few months completely. So we've developed a super clever AI agent, which is going to go ahead and look at each piece of content and understand when it needs to be refreshed and what the changes are. So as you can see, that's an incredibly complex process, which most agencies have to simplify, completely broken down into simple stages and delivered with more quality than the agency originally could have promised for the hours they were putting in. Now, I hope this has been useful for you to go ahead and design your own system like this. But if you're thinking about how you can get this system quickly installed into your agency, Join me for a minute here, because after working with some of the biggest SEO agencies and multi-million-dollar brands on SEO contracts, I have found the best SEO strategies to rank on AI models and to rank on Google in 2026. I have seen inside numerous different SEO agencies. I have built from scratch SEO content systems, and that's why I have released Julio, which is my product of exactly what you've just seen. Julio is the first tool built specifically for SEO agencies and does exactly what I just told you. The results we've seen from Julio so far have been astonishing and have record broken anything we've seen from the SEO agencies that were using this before versus after. The results we have seen from Julio so far have been ridiculous and have completely outperformed how SEO agencies before versus after using this product. And as well as that, saves them a ridiculous amount of time. If you're an SEO agency or a marketing team and need to create content at scale, this is a solution I would love to walk you through and talk more about. The opportunity in creating SEO content like this is huge because no one else is doing it. This is how you get found on AI models. This is how you rank on Google. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you would like to chat more, let's book a call. The link is down below. And once again, really appreciate you sticking around. Okay, cheers. Bye-bye.